Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Anna Rodriguez. We've got a lot to tell you about. The next 24 hours will be very telling for the tropical depression spinning in the Gulf. The state of Florida is already preparing for the system to make landfall.
Impacts from what is right now a tropical depression, but it's likely to become a tropical storm today and may strengthen quickly, getting closer to that hurricane status, the reason for that watch. So here's the latest satellite right now. All right, so things to notice, especially compared to yesterday. There's been more thunderstorm activity right over the center of circulation, and that continues to expand. Also noticing sort of that outer northern edge up here, maybe some enhanced outflow with it. There's been some shear, which has been a problem, but at the same time, there might be some enhancement in terms of helping to just evacuate some of the tops of those thunderstorms right there. And the other thing is that there's been some dry air on the west side of this and the north side, and it looks like overall the circulation is filling in with thunderstorms. So let's show you what's going on with the radar. This is pretty wide-reaching, not just because of the tropical depression alone, but just because of the pattern we're in. We've picked up more than 4 inches of rain in parts of the Florida Keys over the past couple of days. Tampa area starting your morning here pretty wet out there as we see rain right along the shoreline near Tampa and Pinellas County. Now let's talk about what's going on for you with this TD9 right now. Winds at 35 miles per hour. Hurricane hunters are still flying out. I was just looking at some of the latest data coming back in. They still haven't found winds much stronger than this strength. However, that could change today. You'll notice the movement is not very much. So it's at 2 right now, 2 miles per hour. So the fact is, with it sitting right out here, it's going to keep churning up the water. It's expected to make the turn more to the north and east. And as it does that, we're going to have that push of water too. So certainly the concern will be there. There's some concern for surge near the point where we will be looking at a landfall, and to the right of that as we get into the time frame of later tonight, tomorrow, and then overnight tomorrow into Friday. By far the biggest impact is going to be heavy rainfall. We could see widespread 5 to 8 inches of rain, some spots 8 to 12. If you believe the European model, which is just one of the weather models that we look at, though, it could be even more than that. So there really could be a lot of rainfall. Looking at the forecast for Tallahassee, rainfall in the forecast right through Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday back to our usual isolated thunderstorms forecast. All right, so let's take a look at what we're dealing with here in terms of winds and waves and push of water. So in terms of storm surge, the key is that the longer that you have water getting pushed on towards shore, sort of the more potential for buildup, especially with the situation we have in the Gulf of Mexico right here. Very flat, very shallow, and if anything, kind of slopes downhill a little bit towards the coastline. So this is an area that's very prone to storm surge. We're going to take a look, though, at our waves and just take a look at the waves alone as we look at that forecast getting into Thursday, Friday timeframe. The waves will be up. You'll see that trajectory of water pushing right towards the coast. So that's going to be part of the problem. You get that wave run up, that wave set up, and that will be leading to that water rise. So as we take a look, again, it's a lot has to do with what the coastal floor is like. Overall, very shallow, and the concern is that we are going to be looking for that push of water with a very slow-moving system for now. You get more than 24 hours worth of that push. Could be about 2 to 4 feet of water rise, say, around Cedar Key and over towards Arapica. Welcome back to AMHQ Early. So this is the latest update on what is Tropical Depression 9 right now, expected to become a tropical storm later today. We're now getting 3-hourly updates. There are watches up, hurricane watches and tropical storm watches are up for parts of the Florida coast, the Gulf Coast. So we'll get every 3-hour updates. This is as of the 4 a.m. Central Time update. Winds still at 35 miles per hour. Now we do expect, again, that strengthening today. Let's show you the forecast track. Perhaps by early this morning, or later this morning, we could see that tropical storm. Hurricane hunters are out there flying, looking for data, looking for winds up to tropical storm force. And then we see it move over the Florida, Big Bend area, and then heading out here, perhaps with impacts to North and South Carolina. There's a front coming in at the same time, so we're going to watch that and then out to sea. All right, so we're going to check in with Anna Rodriguez on preparations that are all happening ahead of TD9 as we get you into the holiday weekend. Today's forecast, of course, going to be one to watch in Florida. We are going to be looking for some of that rain, again, from the outer peripheries getting into parts of Florida. Tampa this morning, you're waking up to some showers and storms. Also have a front coming in, and that is going to be a big rainmaker as well. Out ahead of it, we could have some storms and some pretty heavy rainfall, actually all the way from western Texas, eastern New Mexico. Some big rain possible again today, and we'll see that spread right across portions of Kansas and Oklahoma. And then northeast too, get ready overnight tonight for some big rain-making thunderstorms as we see that. All right, so behind the front, we have some much nicer air, and we'll see that Thursday into Friday. Chicago, Detroit, New York City, actually Friday looks phenomenal. Take off work early, get your holiday weekend started. Your Sunday forecast looks good as well, all the way down into parts of the south and east. Coming up, we're going to talk traffic. 30 minutes past the hour. Thank you for staying with us on AMHQ early this morning. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Ana Rodriguez. The tropical depression in the Gulf is set to strengthen today as it takes aim at Florida.
Look at what we are dealing with here in terms of the winds and the potential for surge. Right now, the winds are actually coming from the south around the Tampa area. That's, knocking up the surf, and we've got a moderate rip current risk here pretty much everywhere along the Gulf Coast. We are going to see the concern for some of the waves out over the open waters being higher. And the longer that we have this thing sitting out here, the more churned up the ocean will get, and the more concern that will be for that buildup of water. So here we go with your forecast here Thursday into Friday. Some of the bigger waves may be up over 10 to 15 feet. That we'll see mainly offshore, but again, the breakers will get bigger right along the coastline, and that moves off the southeast coast by the time we get into Friday. Looking at the concern for storm surge flooding, we've got some new products that are still in test mode, but coming out this year and likely to be in operational mode next year is a storm surge warning system and forecast. So one of the pieces of the puzzle here is this, and you can see that where we have the orange, I should say the yellow colors, this is where we have more than 3 feet, and there's some spots here like around the Horseshoe Beach area and Homasa Springs area where we could see that risk of storm surge. And so if you're in an area that gets inundated with water at that level, you need to know how to prepare. Get you into the weekend, which is a long weekend for many of you, a holiday weekend with Labor Day on Monday. Today, we've got a front coming in. Besides everything we're watching in the tropics, we've got a front that's tracking east, bringing with it some rain. We'll see that across Ohio, back into parts of the plains. Really wet across West Texas and New Mexico. We have more heavy rain possible there again today and even tomorrow. Actually, we're not really getting to dry out, though where we are getting to dry out by tomorrow is Corpus Christi, and we've had a soaker of the last couple of days. Now, southeast, of course, a lot of focus on what's happening in the tropics, and we'll continue to follow that for you here. But I want to talk about the front. When we get this front coming down into the mid-Atlantic by Friday, it will bring some thunderstorms into North Carolina, but also at the same time, we'll have some of that tropical moisture coming right up on that front. So expecting some rain. Friday, I think, will be a tough travel day there. By Saturday, though, it's moving out to sea. It may not be moving that far off the coast. We'll watch that. We'll also watch for concerns along the beaches, mainly a rip current risk getting into the holiday weekend. Surf expected to be up. So keep that in mind as you make your plans, because otherwise the weather looks really nice across the east, doesn't it? Coming up, a double whammy for Hawaii. You can call this a 1-2